Hi guys. In this short series I will be trying out PMDG's 737 for Flight Simulator X with a real-life 737 captain, Jive. A couple of things to note beforehand. Shared cockpit does not work on this by default unless both clients have all switches set the same. Even then issues arise such as crashes and other things working, like the brake of all things, so the landing gets a bit hairy and I have to cut it short. Otherwise, enjoy.
Okay, so if we start with just a brief overview of what stuff is, so you know what I'm referring to when I do. So everything above the window, that huge panel with all the switches on there, is just the overhead panel.
Yep.
This thing just below the window that goes horizontally from left to right with all the buttons and the dials on it. The bit in the middle is the mode control panel.
Okay.
And to the left and the right, the little box there is the EFIS control panel. That basically is going to control some of your screens and a few options within them. So the main screens that we've got in the middle, although they're all dark right now, the left main screen is called the primary flight display, or the PFD, because that's got all your primary information on it. The second one, the one to the right of that, is the nav screen. And then in the middle is the EIS, the engine instrument screen. So that's going to be and then the one underneath you can change options for. Two things to the left and the right are the CDUs that control the FMC, and then thrust levers, obviously fire handles. You've got the start levers are the two little ones with 1 and 2 written on them. The fire handles are the ones with 1 APU and 2 written on them. Okay, below the fire handles is the comm panel. So that's got radios are the ones in the top left and top right. And then the box below that is your VHF navs. So it's going to tune into VORs, ILSs, etc. Below that further is the ADFs, that's for NTBs. And the one in the middle with all the the rectangular switches and the little circular ones with the arrows, that's your ASP audio selector panel. So the boxes are the mic selector buttons. You can only have one of those engaged at one time, and the other ones are the audio. So what's what you can hear. So you can click on all those and have as many of those active as you want.
Okay.
There is obviously way more, but that's the essential stuff we're going to work with. So for the beginning, we're just going to use mainly the overhead panel and a lot of the switches, and we'll get everything set up, and then we can discuss like the CDU and the FMC, and then what we want on the PFD and the nav screens afterwards. The general philosophy from Boeing is that all switches, when selected in the on position, should be pointing towards the window. So if you look at the overhead panel, everything that's off right now is pointing up, away from the window. And if you look on the MCP at the moment, anything that's off is actually down, again, away from the window.
Yep.
All right. So to start with, obviously we're on the runway, which isn't typical. But we'll just treat it as a stand, and we'll go through the runway stuff when we get to it. During a cold start, you've got ground power connected. So we can begin by looking for the battery switch, which is in that second panel on the overhead. And we want to check that the hydraulic pumps are off, which they are, the electric hydraulic pumps rather, are off, and that the landing gear is in down position, and the weather radar is off, so you don't fry anyone's testicles. Battery switch can go on. That'll light some stuff up, and then ground power switch with the one with the ground power available light above it. Just left click that to click it on.
Okay.
Now in business, just to tidy up a couple of things, hit the standby power switch to the guided switch across, so it goes into auto.
Yep.
And we can just take the rest of it from here. So we're basically going to start from the top left, go all the way down the overhead panel, move across to the next strip, go all the way down, and just keep doing that. So there's like 5 strips in total.
Okay.
And we'll get everything done from the top and then work our way down. So starting at the top left, your damper, in fact further up, above that, you can put the IRS switches to nav.
Set.
Your damper to on.
On.
And the main tank fuel pumps to on. The 4 ones in the bottom row, yeah.
Alright, okay, I didn't realise you put all 4 of them on at the start, okay.
Yeah, you can. Okay, so working down the electrical one, there's nothing really we need to play with there. So middle strip we can go through, emergency exit lights can go on. Time to on, belts to on. Window heat at the top there. All window heats can go on, so you've got the 4 green on lights. And then moving down to the hydraulics, 2 electric hydraulic pumps can go on.
Okay.
Low pressure lights should go out. And then on the right side, you've got the pressurization panel. So let's work down that. Recirc fans can go to auto. Isolation valve switch to auto. Middle position. Engine bleeds. The 2 in the bottom left and bottom right, they can go on. APU bleed air switch can stay off.
Okay.
Because the APU isn't on yet. For the pressurization panel at the bottom there, let's set flight level 180 for our cruise altitude. And the land altitude for Manchester 350.
Set.
Leave the selector switch in auto, that's fine. This bottom strip here has got a lot of lighting panel on it, so right now we don't need to really touch anything there. And then on to, and working our way down, we don't need to set anything in the MCP just yet. We'll do that when we come to setting up a departure. So you can set the, you see the auto brake selector, it's just under the MCP, it's a rotary switch.
Yep.
Set that to RTO, which is the down left position.
Set.
And the auto brake disarm light should go out.
Yep.
Okay. We keep going down again. There's a lot of tests and stuff that you can do, but we're just gonna skip that because it's boring.
Yep.
Keep going past. Check the speedboat stowed, and the flaps are up, and you can go past the dart levers, past the fire handles, and then there's nothing really in the comm panel we need to set just yet. We'll do that all with the departure as well.
Okay.
From here, you'd obviously have your paperwork if this was real, and you'd have a flight plan that would tell you the routing you're going to take and the departures you can expect. ATC will also confirm the departure that you're going to get. So for us, we're going to kind of make up our own one, which we'll just do. Okay, so open up the FMC.
Yep.
And go to the press init ref and take to the ident page. It's a good starting place. So model 73700 winglet.
Yep.
Engine rating 26k, which is the maximum engine thrust we can achieve.
Okay.
And date underneath, the active date is for the nav data, which is telling us right now is out of date, but we don't care about that.
Okay.
Pause in it.
Yep.
So we're going to tell the IRSs where we are. So let's put in Edinburgh, EG, EH.
Yep.
We're not at a gate right now, it's just on the runway, so let's just choose the default airfield position. So line select from the right of the line that says Edinburgh reference airport and Edinburgh's coordinates, and then put that into set IRS pos.
So the second set of coordinates down. Yep.
And you'll see now that your primary flight display has come live.
Yep.
Okay. Hit route.
Route set.
Pre-selected Edinburgh for you. Put that into origin. Destination EGCC.
Yep.
All UK airports start with EG. Company route we're not going to play with. Flight number doesn't matter. And runway is going to be 06. So just 0 and then 6.
Okay.
Run 06, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, hit the, there's a button that says departure arrivals, DEP, AR. Hit that.
Yep.
And departure is going to be a Dean Cross 3 Delta. So that's the route that is going to take us to the departure. And you can see on the nav screen right now it's brought that up in cyan. Hit route. You're back on that route page again.
Yep.
Hit next page.
Yep.
And we're going to build in our own routing from here. So let's type in an airway for the sake of an airway. Uniform November 615.
Uniform November 615.
Place that under the Dean Cross 3 Delta.
Okay.
So basically that's telling us we're going to go via the Dean Cross 3 Delta to Dean Cross, which is on the right side, and then via the Uniform 615 to the next waypoint, which we're going to put in is Lakey, L-A-K-E-Y.
L-A-K-E-Y.
Okay. So it's telling us there's 2 Lakeys and its nav data. One's at north 54 and the other one's at north 33, so we know it's going to be north 54. We'll take that one. From here, we can hit departure arrival again. We'll have that as our airways routing. That'll be fine. EGCC and then arrivals. We're going to be arriving to runway 23 right. So find ILS 23 right.
Got it.
And we're going to find an arrival. Let's just try a Rosen 1 Alpha. I don't know all these so
Okay.
well. So
You can go to world on the top bar on the map and you can check it out, but if you want to just try that first, Rosen, do you want to?
1 Alpha. Yeah, we'll give it a shot. We'll have a look and then we'll correct it if it's not. Okay, there are various transitions you can use, and that basically covers you from the intermediate point of finishing the arrival into transitioning into the approach. Most places in real life will do it just with, especially in the UK, they'll do it with radar vectors. Some places abroad will just want you to fly the whole procedure.
Okay.
But let's leave that blank. So hit route.
Okay.
And oh, you can see the Rosen arrival goes actually direct from Dean Cross, so we don't even need Lakey in there. Let's go to Perf init.
Okay.
And we're going to put cost index. Cost index is the thing that determines the aircraft's like efficiency rating. So if you put in 1, it would go for like low speeds in a descent, low cruising speeds, and if you put 200, it would go for really high speeds. So it would sacrifice fuel economy for speed. So let's just put 50.
In the middle. Nice and safe-ish.
Yeah. Let's go for reserves of 3. Oh shit, I forget everything's in pounds in the flight sim version. So yeah, let's call reserves 5 because not in kilos.
Yep.
That's roughly 3 ton. For the cruising level, cruise altitude, I'm going to put 180, same as what we put in the pressurization panel. Cruise wind we don't know because we don't have paperwork, so we can just leave that. Transition altitude in the UK it's 6,000 feet.
Yep.
So just put the 6,000. Then go to N1 limit.
Yep.
So outside air temperature right now is 20 degrees, as you can see there. So it's already detected that for us. We'll just leave that there. Got 26k, and then it says active and selected.
Yep.
So that's our maximum thrust rating, and we can select a D rate if we want to of 24 or 22k because it'll wind down the engines a bit and not use them to their full capacity, so you get less engine wear basically.
Yep.
We're just going to leave it in what it is because it's a game and we don't really care. Go to takeoff.
Yep.
And this is a page we're going to set our speeds and stuff in later. So in a real kind of flow, you wouldn't have the data for the perf init page and the takeoff page just yet. You'd probably be waiting for a load sheet while you're boarding and whatnot.
Yeah.
So we'll come back to that. So in the meantime, let's correct that discontinuity that we had. We'll go to the legs page.
Yep.
And go to next page.
Yep.
And you can see there that there's the routing is Turnberry 30, Dean Cross, Lakey, discontinuity, and then Dean Cross again.
Correct.
Yeah. And then the next page has you going to settle.
Yep.
So let's replace Lakey with settle. So you go to page 3.
Yep.
Line select settle.
Yep.
Press previous page.
Yep.
Then line select Lakey.
Okay.
Replace that.
Yep.
There's another discontinuity underneath where it's
Yep.
Rosen and then the center fix runway 23 right. So let's line select center fix 23 right.
Yep.
Previous page, and then put it in the line that's got the boxes in.
Yep. Done.
And then execute.
Okay.
Okay. We can look at this as a display if we want to check it out by going to the EFIS control panel, which is left of the MCP. There's one little switch that says approach, VOR, map and plan.
Yep.
Select that to plan. Now on the legs page you'll have the option to step. So you can step through, you can start at the top of the routing and step through all the waypoints individually. And we can make sure that Dean Cross to settle makes sense, which it does. Down to Rosen, which makes sense. And then direct to the center fix from there, which also makes sense. Although we're expecting to get radar vectors.
Yep.
So let's set up for the departure itself. So if you open your FMC again,
Yep.
go to the legs page. Normally you'd have charts for an airfield and it would tell you the directions and stuff we're going to take. So I've been to Edinburgh enough times to know, or been out of Edinburgh enough times as well to know that, like, what this departure is. A little bit, it will tell you in the FMC what it's supposed to be, but it also draws your lateral routing based on speeds that it thinks it can achieve. So the actual routing is ahead to half a D, half a mile, and then it's left onto a track of 045. You can see the 045 is written above IVG3 in the legs page. So it's 045, which takes you to IVG3, which is 3 miles from the IVG. And then it's going to be left, and it's supposed to be left to intercept 260 radial to Glasgow, inbound to Glasgow. And the reason it says 252 above Gal 35 instead of 260, because you can't turn tight enough doing the speeds that it thinks it's going to do. So
Yep.
You'd have to draw it slightly differently. So for us being fairly light, let's just put speed 220. So dial 220.
Yep.
Flash, and then put that on the line for Gal 35 where it says 5,000 above.
Okay. Yep, it's in there.
Then execute.
Set.
Should have timed it up just a touch, but it's not perfect. But we know the objective anyway, as we would know from paperwork, is to intercept that 260 radial. So that's how we're going to set this up.
Yep.
So first we're looking at going ahead and hitting half a D. So that half a D is based off a frequency that's 108.9. So if you tune that into nav2 and then make it active
Okay.
in the VHF box.
Nav2,
Yeah, the one on the right side.
108.9. Did you say?
Everything on the left side is 1, everything on the right side is
Yeah.
2.
But 108.9 active.
Good. Now we want that to show on our nav screen. So it might only do it in the map. So if you change back to map mode and then select, there's a little switch that says VOR2. Select that, so click that so it goes up.
I have to right click it. Yeah.
And then in the bottom right of the map screen on the nav display, now it should say VOR2 and tell you the distance from it.
Yes.
DME's 0.7. Okay, so that's where we're going to read that off later. You can also do the same for ADFs, but we're not going to be using ADFs for the departure.
Okay.
So we know we can reference that ahead and then half a D point now, because we're going to see half a D appear on VOR2 at the bottom right. We're going to take a left onto heading 045, so as a reminder, let's set that in course 2 on the MCP. So that's the right course window. 045.
Set.
And then at 3D, which again we can read off VOR2 from the IVG, we're going to make another left turn. This is a left turn to intercept the 260, even if we do go a little bit wide like the LNAV routing has us doing.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter, we're going to pick up that 260 radial. So in the course 1, wind 260.
Set.
And the idea is that you have the course that you're going to, if we lost all this and went raw data, the radial that you want to fly is going to be on the pilot flying side. So it's always pilot flying and pilot monitoring. So right now it's pilot flying from the left side. So 260 is in the course selector, and that's going to reference the Glasgow VOR, which is 115.4. You're going to tune that into nav 1.
Okay.
Good.
Okay.
And if you select on the EFIS control panel, if you select VOR1, an ADF1 switch to VOR1, then you'll have the VOR1 readout on the bottom left.
Yeah, so VOR1 and VOR2 are both selected,
Yeah,
and it's
that's fine.
showing up on the map screen. Yeah.
Excellent. The other information we can get from here is telling us that at Glasgow 30, GAL 30, is our stop altitude point 6,000 feet. If we didn't get cleared any further, that's where we'd have to stop. That says flight level 60,
Yeah.
but transition altitude in the UK is 6,000 feet, so it's 6,000 that we'll be doing as an altitude. So in the MCP altitude window, it's 6,000.
6,000 set.
And we are pretty much set. Pilot flying's on the left side, so we're going to put flight director on the left side to on first.
Yep.
Green master light will come on, and then the right side, put that one on, and that's going to slave to the other side.
Okay, set.
Oakley dokely. Go to the hit init ref, should take you to the perf init page.
Yes.
And we've just been given a 0 fuel weight, for example. So let's double click that, it should give us something.
Yep.
And we can then hit execute.
Execute.
So we're on the N1 limit page, and we've got our weights and stuff, and we're going to calculate our performance. So you'd have a method of doing this, like some software or a book or something. So we can just get it done in here. So click. Let's rate the thrust to something. So let's put it to 30 degrees. So dial in 30 and then a slash.
Yep.
And put that in selected temperature.
Okay.
So now the takeoff thrust, which is showing in the top right, says red before it. So it's reduced takeoff thrust. Telling it's reduced, it's 26k, and the N1 readout that you want for takeoff is 98%.
Okay. Where we put that
page.
select, is that based off temperature?
Yeah.
So we're assuming it's 30, so it derates.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a whole other subject.
Than that, yeah.
But yeah. But basically, it's using a less of the engine power.
Okay.
Takeoff.
Yep.
Flaps. Let's go flaps 5.
Okay.
Again, we can see reduced 26k in one. And let's just double click the CG and give us ACG.
Okay.
That's 4.6. Let's set 4.6 on the trim wheel.
Okay.
Close as you can get it anyway.
There we go. Set.
And we can use these QRH speeds for now. So let's just click V1, VR, V2, and then hit QRH off to get rid of those.
Yep. I should get a notepad at this stage, just in case I need to note something down. Okay, we're good.
So now that we've selected those, they're going to appear on the primary flight display. In fact, if you have a look at it, you can see that V1's already showing at the top of it as 131 on the speed tape.
Yep, I see it.
Okay. The one we need to dial into the MCP that's going to try and fly is V2. So in the speed window on the MCP, select 144.
144 set.
And we can arm the auto throttle.
Auto throttle armed.
One thing I forgot to do earlier when we set the MCP was set the heading. So let's wind that round to 060 for runways 06. Okay. Also, we can arm LNAV, so we can select that now.
Okay.
That's pretty much us set for the departure. Now, if you look on the PFD,
yep,
you can see that we've got the speed tape on the left, the altitude tape on the right, with 6,000 written at the top in magenta, because that's our stop altitude. In the thing that's to the right of the altitude, it's got a 6 at the top and a 6 at the bottom.
Yep.
That's your vertical speed indicator. So when there's a flat line in the middle of it right now. When that points up to 1,000, it means your rate of climb is 1,000 feet a minute.
Okay.
So that's where you look for that one. At the bottom is the top of your compass rose, and you can see the heading bug as well. So the philosophy is that you can essentially really do most of your stuff by just looking at that one screen and checking that your N1 setting, and there's not, you can get by with the essential stuff on there.
Okay.
Now, the top bit of this screen that says arm at the moment in the top left,
Yep.
that's your auto throttle mode. Okay, so it's your auto throttle is armed, and where in the middle one is your roll mode. So right now it says LNAV.
Yep.
But LNAV in white means that LNAV is armed, so that should engage at 400 feet. When we verify it at 400 feet on the takeoff, we want to see that that's green and taking up the whole box.
Okay.
And on the right side is going to be your pitch mode. So VNAV, for example, is a pitch mode, or vertical speed is a pitch mode. The green letters that say FD above the artificial horizon there is your autopilot mode. So it's telling you it's in flight directors. If you went into command alpha, it would say command. If you went into control with steering, it would say CWS.
Okay. Should I have any magenta flight director things showing up right
No,
now
not
on the
yet.
horizon? No. Okay.
No, they should come in when you press Togo.
Okay.
The 0 that's at the bottom of your artificial horizon is your rad alt. So that's going to tell us exactly how high you are off the actual ground. And that should read up to 2,500 feet.
Okay.
So the takeoff roll, when we're looking for 400 feet, is actually the 400 feet rad alt we should be looking for the LNAV. Bottom left is ground speed, and you can see that down there, GS.
Yep.
And then on the compass rose, you got 060 with an H, means that bug is referencing the heading. The white line on that compass road is referencing your track. Alright.
Okay.
Pressure setting is shown underneath there. Right now it says 29.52.
Correct.
Which is in inches, which is the American way of doing it. In Europe we use hectopascals. So on the EFIS control panel, there's a switch that says barrow.
Yep.
On the left it's got inches, the right is hectopascals. So
Switched.
click that over to HPA,
Yep.
and it should be 1,000 hectopascals.
Yep.
The button in the middle of that, so standard, is what's going to change it to 1013 hectopascals, which is the standard pressure setting, or
Okay.
2992 in inches. So that's what we're going to use once we're above the transition altitude.
Got it.
Okay, so we can look away from that for now, and I think we're pretty much ready for engine start at this time. So that's more or less a startup complete, and we want to move on to engine start. So for engine start we need fuel and air basically for the engines. So we can get air from the APU, and we can get fuel from the start levers.
Okay.
So we want to start the APU. So APU switch is next to the start switches.
Yep. Here we go, EGT rising. My yaw damper's off again, so should I just turn it on?
Yeah, says mine.
Pretty sure we went through that. Okay.
Yeah, sometimes
Okay.
does it with power interrupts.
Alright. APU started and normalized,
Okay.
stabilized.
So you've got 4 generator switches. The left
Yep.
and the right furthermost ones are the main generators, and the 2 middle ones are the APU.
Yeah.
So we want to put the left and the right one from the...
APU.
Let me say that again. The middle left and right ones on APU.
Yeah.
We can do that now.
Set.
So now the only lights should be showing over there are gen off buzz for the main generators.
Yep.
Great. Other things we need then, so we've got electrics, so we can now remove the ground power. Okay, so we've got that. Next thing we need is air. So let's put the APU bleed air switch on.
Okay, it's on.
You'll see a rise in the duct pressure.
Yep.
Okay, so now it's in preparation for start. We're going to check that we have duct pressure, which we do. We're going to put the anti-collision light on so that people know not to approach the aircraft because the engine's going to be
Yep.
running. And we're going to go to the EIS screen in the middle. Just above it are some selectors. We're going to hit the engine one, and then the bottom screen there, that's going to give us a load of information on the engines.
Okay.
So we've got N1 at the top, EGT underneath that, fuel flow, N2, other fuel flow, oil pressure, oil temperature, oil quantity as a percent, and then vibration, which we don't care about too much. So when we start the engines, we're going to see a rise in N2. We're going to be looking at that, and as that gets to about 25, we're going to put the start switches, sorry, the start levers to idle one at a time. That'll add the fuel, and then the N2 will rise again. N1 at that point, when the N2 is at 25, N1 should be around 4ish. So we need to check that we have some N1 rotation before we put the fuel in.
Okay.
And when we do, everything will spool up, and then the starter cutout light, the start valve open light will cut out. And you see how you've got a low oil pressure light right now as well. That should also go. And for each of those, engine 1 and engine 2 sets of 3 boxes, they should all go blank.
Okay.
So we'll start engine number 2 first, because that's the way Mr. Boeing wants us to do it.
Okay. Now?
So, yep. So you can put that into ground. And then look back at the engine gauges. N2's rising.
Yep. 25 and 2.
And put the start lever up to idle for number 2.
Okay. It's alive. Alive!
You see now you've got start valve open light, yeah?
Yep.
That little click that you just heard, it was the start switch moving back to off. That's cut out. And we're going to let that EGT stabilize. And then we can call that a good start. We'll do the same for number 1.
Okay. Do you have to switch? Can you keep it on both? The ignition switch?
You can actually leave it on left, it's fine.
Left. Is that the same case for doing it on the right engine as well?
Yeah.
Left, yeah?
It's not what it sounds like it is.
Okay.
So N2's up.
Yep.
Start lever to idle.
Idle.
The way the igniters work is there's 2 igniters for each engine, and you can either use the left igniter or the right igniter, or both.
Okay. Oh, I see. Right.
Yeah. That click is the starter cutting out, and then the start valve open light disappears.
Yep.
EGT stabilizes, and a good stable figure to look for is a 2 for the N1, 4 for the EGT, 6 for the N2, so 246.
246. Okay.
So with engine start complete, we'd be looking to get ready for taxiing away. So got myself out here. So everything's been disconnected from the aircraft. The guys all clear. So we can put the main generators onto their main buzzers. So the switch is just underneath the gen off buzz, blue lights.
Yeah.
We're going to put those on. Now the APU ones are blue.
Yep.
We're going to go up to the top again. We're going to put the pitot heat on, probe heat on.
Yep.
And we're going to let's put the right pack to auto.
Right pack
APU
auto.
bleed air switch to off.
APU bleed switch off.
Left pack to auto.
Left pack auto.
Now we're getting air from the engine bleeds into the packs. The packs are providing the air conditioning.
Okay.
See what else? Let's put the start switches to continuous.
Continuous.
Do that for takeoff. And we can turn the APU to off.
APU off.
We're going to be taxiing, so let's put the taxi light on, run my turn off lights on.
Yep.
And let's have a quick look around, see if there's anything else that we need.
Position lights at all?
Yeah, we'd put those to steady, sorry. Bottom position.
Oh yes. Okay.
Okay, now obviously we'd be now about to go for a taxi and we'd turn the parking brake off, but let's just leave it on because we know our present position right now is on the runway.
Yeah.
And before we go, a good thing to use this for descent planning as well is some guys use the 5Bs. So you want to check that your bugs are set. So by bugs we mean things like speed bugs, altitude bugs. So for now in this, let's just refer to the speed bugs. So the V2 on the MCP is set, so that's bugs. Bearings is the next one. You can do these in any order. So bugs,
yeah.
Bearings, brakes, boxes and brief is the whole thing. So we've done bugs. Bearings, we set our course selectors, we set our nav boxes to things that correspond to them. Brakes, auto brake is RTO, and brief, well, we can run through a little brief in a second. Boxes I already just kind of covered there, sorry, with the bearings, but the boxes, the nav boxes, we've already done.
Yep.
So brief, let's run through the actions that we're going to do on the takeoff.
Okay.
We're going to go, we've got LNAV armed already, and the auto throttle is armed. So on a takeoff roll, you're going to stand the power up to 40% in one.
Yep.
Press the toggle switch. Auto throttle will pick that up to set your takeoff thrust, and if the toggle switch doesn't work, just apply takeoff thrust anyway. You'll have that
97.3 kind of around there. If I can do that, I'll do that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I have a feeling that's going to happen because you know how the throttle works in the game and in real life.
Fine.
Yeah.
So let's set the takeoff page in the FMC. So you got a good reference there. It's 97.2.
Sorry, takeoff ref.
Yeah. So that's what you're going to target if the auto throttle doesn't work. Well, that's what the auto throttle should
mine says
target.
97.3, but yeah.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's just
So we're going to stand it up. We'll try a toggle. If toggle doesn't work, we're going to set the power up manually. Yep. You'll hear V1. I'll call that out. You'll hear VR. So or rotate. I'll call. You'll pitch up to that. You'll pitch up at that.
What pitch degrees?
You're going to pitch to 15 degrees initially, and then up to 17. You should have the flight directors at that point.
Okay.
Again, if Toga works, you should have the flight directors.
Yep.
If Toga doesn't work, just stick with it, and at 400 feet, LNAV will kick in, and that'll give you a roll mode. And then at 1,000 feet, we'll give you a pitch mode. So at 400 feet, we're going to verify that LNAV engages. So that FMA on the primary flight display will turn the green, big LNAV green, and then just stick with that flight director, even if you haven't got the vertical one.
Okay.
And then at 1,000 feet, I don't know if VNAV will work, so we'll just try going 220 knots in the MCP and then hitting level change. And then we can put the autopilot in. Or you can put the autopilot in at 1,000 first if you want, and then start playing with MCP. Is probably the best way around of doing it.
Okay.
Okay. And then we'll clean up, as you'll see on the speed tape. It's telling you what flap setting you can clean up to. Once you're around the corner, we'll look at accelerating, and we'll see if we get any. Well, we'll see about doing some shortcuts using the FMC.
Okie dokes.
Happy with that as a brief?
Yep.
So that's that covered. So at this point, let's say we're taxiing out, we got to this point and we're cleared to line up on the runway. So for that, when we're lining up, we want to put the position light to strobe and steady.
Yep.
Which is a flashing white light. We can turn the taxi light off, and we can put the, I guess different operators have different ways of doing things. Let's put the fixed landing lights to the on position.
Yep.
We're going to put TCAS on. So if you look down on the comm panel, okay, oh, let me. There's a thing that's got 1200 written in it right now.
Yeah.
Okay, to the right of that is a rotary selector.
Yep.
Select that all the way to TARA.
Set.
And then you can see in the nav display in the bottom left it says TA only.
Yes.
So TA is when it warns you of traffic advisory, and an RA is a resolution advisory when it'll tell you to do something about it. we want it to display traffic on the page as well. So in the EFIS control panel on the left hand side of the MCP, if you just hit that little button that says TFC.
Okay, mine was on already.
Okay, and now it's got traffic above TA. Okay, that's cool.
Yes.
We hit it earlier on. Good. I think that's...
Flaps.
Oh yeah, we would have done that before we taxi.
Yeah, of course.
That's pretty bad that I didn't get that. Alright.
5?
Yeah. That's
Can we
one
blame
of the
though?
things.
It's just we're doing it in a different way, and we've had to restart because of problems and sync issues with shared cockpit. Yeah.
I normally have someone to do that for me.
Peons. First officers.
So that's us. That parking brake needs to go off, obviously. But I think we're good. If you're ready.
Yeah. So
yeah, let's take the parking brake off.
Okay, just get myself all centered up and everything. Okay.
Okay. So, I want you to set your power to 40%.
Okay. Power 40%.